Hi folks, welcome back. I'd like to give a shout out first to the OSS department at in Delaware at Stockley Center. And I think I appreciate you guys for watching all of our videos and following us. So special shout out to the OSS at Stockley. Okay, today's video is going to be pork loin two ways. Tomorrow we'll go over the secret second way, but today doing pork just like doing any poultry, I like to use a dry brine. This is the day before we plan on cooking, so I thought I'd show you first the dry brine method. And simply all it is kosher salt, and you just want to coat this bad boy in salt. Kind of rub it in there lightly. And what the salt's going to do is overnight, it's going to draw the moisture out of the meat, infuse it, and then it'll recess back into the meat. And I did inspect these loins, or the tenderloin comes with two loins, right? For any gray skin, you want to watch out for the gray skin. That stuff never goes away, and it's terrible, and you just cut that out if you see it. It'll look like regular fat, but it'll be gray. And you'll have an opportunity to trim these again the next day after they'll shrink a little after dry brining. So I'm just going to roll this around in the salt, make sure we get a nice even cover. And I did pat these dry before I started. So that's another little secret hint. So these things are salted. They're ready to go. And what we'll do is we'll leave these in the refrigerator overnight, uncovered. And we'll be ready to go tomorrow. We'll get started on the one a little bit early, probably 10 a.m., something like that. We're going to do a little Carolina low country barbecue sauce for it to cook in. We're going to make it a little thinner than traditional barbecue sauce because it's going to be liquid that's going to, bring all the goodness together. Now, Carolina low country barbecue is completely different from Kansas City barbecue or Texas barbecue or Memphis barbecue. This is not tomato based at all. It's not like Alabama white barbecue sauce, which is pretty famous in its own right. You can Google it. I think it's Big Bob Gibson's white barbecue sauce, and that's pretty good stuff on chicken especially. But this is a mustard based sauce. As you can see, we're going to combine some mustards, some brown sugar, a little bit of Worcestershire, some cayenne, paprika of course, and the old secret weapon, the balsamic. Which brings me to the mustard portion. You have Heinz and you have French's. What's wrong with this picture? One of these is able to store upside down, thereby keeping things mixed up, and a quick squirt is good. The other, I prefer the Heinz. But next up in our backup was the French's, which is just as good. So let's get started. I got a bowl here, and we'll go through mixing this. Going to start off with, of course, old number one, good old Heinz. Yeah, we're going to squirt that in there. This is excellent on hams, too, for the holidays. As a little coating, you just mix the mustard and brown sugar is all I use on ham, not the other ingredients. I'm going to get a little bit of French's in here. You got to shake it up a little bit. Let's see if we can see any difference. Look at the color difference. French's, Heinz. What do you prefer? What do you prefer out of this? For yellow mustards, I like that. Okay, and also, if I had Dijon mustard, I'd throw that in, but I'm going to go with a little bit of this fancy German mustard. Give it a little more boost. Good sound effects, huh? Good sound effects, huh? A little bit of that in there. Now a little bit of, to up the mustard, I'm going to toss in some dry mustard, which is great stuff to have on hand. For those of you counting at home, that's probably 4 tablespoons. Now, vinegar is another ingredient. A little hack I use is, like my dad taught me, never throw away the juice from the hot pepper can or jar or pickle juice. It's all vinegar, it's all good, and this one will be tainted with a little bit of heat from the chili peppers that were in there. So I save this for special occasions like this one tonight. You want this sauce to be pretty thin because it's going to be, cooking in a crock pot. Or I can't even, what's the new name for a crock pot? But anyway, Then the brown sugar goes in. You want this kind of pasty, a little bit thick, but not, if you were gonna just use this as a barbecue sauce, you would make it thick. But this is gonna be a cooking sauce. So we can thin it out with vinegar, which in this case is the old hot chili pepper vinegar. Yeah, you wanna mix that together. Oh, smelling good. Little dash of Worcestershire, can't hurt. That's probably a teaspoon and a half. Little cayenne, just to up the heat. A little bit. Not a lot. We'll hold this in reserve after we taste it. Of course, secret weapon number one, balsamic vinegar. A little more vinegar, a little more body. And paprika, good old paprika. Now the idea is we're going to put all this in the crock pot, dousing one of those loins, and let it cook for, I don't know, as long as 6 hours, something like that. And it should be good. Mix this all up, get that brown sugar broken down. We'll give it a taste. Make sure we have enough heat and sweetness. This is an old-fashioned blender. Let's give it a taste, see what we have. More vinegar, more heat. That hot chili pepper vinegar didn't give me as much as I thought I would need. Now the reason I'm making this the night before is to give these flavors about, you know, as much time to marry as possible. You could do it a couple days in advance, but they need to sit for at least 12 hours to just get all that goodness working together and really build a flavor. And you can make a ton of this stuff, and what you don't use, keep in the fridge for at least a week. The high vinegar content will keep it good for a long time. I'm going to go for a little increase in mustard. The people in the OSS department would go with this. Good stuff, dried mustard. It's got a nice smell. I think we might have nailed it this time. Now when I get this all perfectly made, I'm just going to throw it in this mason jar and put it in the fridge. And what I don't use tomorrow, I'll save for chicken wings or chicken, anything really. Pork. Well, of course we're having it with pork. Ah, forgot one secret ingredient, the garlic. Okay, I'm back with, I've had some comments on using minced garlic. You know, I do like fresh garlic, but this stuff is so convenient, so convenient. That's one, maybe 2.5 cloves right there. Mix that in. So we'll do a little bit more mixing. I'm gonna dump it into this jar, refrigerate overnight. The pork will go back in the fridge overnight, uncovered, and tomorrow we'll be cooking again. Okay, this second day of the pork tenderloin. You can see what it looks like after the dried brine. And we're going to go ahead and put it in the old trusty crock pot. The second one we're going to make another video on. I was originally going to make it part of this video, but that's going to be too long and my attention span isn't that long. So I'm going to go with tenderloin Let me taste this before we see how it tastes after married all night. Okay, we're gonna dump this in. Tastes pretty good, but could use a little more heat, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some Cholula in here. Probably our favorite hot sauce. And I'm gonna go with a little bit more of the vinegar from the hot peppers. Thin that out a little bit. And secret weapon, butter. And the old trusty pork base. Just to up the flavor of the pork a little bit. Ever since they bred all the fat out of pigs, never tastes the same as it did when I was a kid, just a few short years ago. And that's gonna be it for this. We'll put the trusty lid on, let her cook for, I don't know, 6 hours. Take a look at it and come up with something for sides. I don't know, maybe you have suggestions, you can leave them in the comments. And I'm thinking maybe a slaw would work really well with this. And maybe a broccoli slaw. Potato salad would be pretty good. But see what I can come up with. Okay, thanks. The slicing will begin. Oh, look at that tender, falling right apart. You could almost make a pulled pork out of this at this point. We're gonna just enjoy it like that. And I'm gonna take a little bit of peak taste. It's good, very good. Added to that, the leftover base that we made the first day. Just use like a regular barbecue sauce. And I am gonna be adding some sauce to this.